if you're expecting me to rant, rave, and shout, then this is not going to be the video for you. So if you want to stop watching right now, I don't blame you. I'm just here to offer my own thoughts on the situation. But let's just waste no time and get right to it. So obviously, if you've been living under a rock for the most recent events, then you'll know that, unless you've been living under a rock, you'll know that the Athletic basically released a statement kind of on FCFC's behalf, or basically revealed from SCFC that Carl Louis-Dreyfus owns 41% of the club, with Stuart Donald owning 34%, Juan Sartori 20%, and Charlie Methven 5%. And this is obviously on social media, and this isn't reflective of the whole fan base, I do understand that, but on social media it's caused quite a bit of uproar. It's caused quite a bit of controversy, and for a lot of people, they feel they've been misled. And we were kind of under the illusion that last summer that Carl Louis-Dreyfus is going to have the main share, well, say main share, the main sort of influence across the club. And I still believe, well, maybe I'm being naive here, but I still want to believe that he is the one that's influencing things the most behind the scenes. But again, he doesn't come out enough and say it, so we don't definitively know. But for a lot of people, feel they've been misled and feel that this is a step too far. Now, the title of the video says something needs to change. And there's a couple of things I think do need to change. I think, obviously, Madrox have... I don't know. Madrox won't leave, more than likely, but they probably need to because of the fact that it's going to turn toxic otherwise. And unless they don't care about that sort of thing, which you could make the argument that they don't, it's untenable at this point. It's absolutely untenable, and you know it's not going. It's just causing bad will by them being here. Now, I didn't particularly have any strong feelings against Stuart Donald. Not saying I thought he was doing a good job, because ultimately he didn't. But I didn't particularly have any strong feelings towards him. Charlie Methven, obviously, his mouth's ahead of his brain. We all know what he's like. Juan Sartori, if anything, was the one that annoyed me the most. And you could argue this is also down to Donald because he facilitated this happening. But basically, Juan Sartori puts £1 into the club, allegedly anyway, reportedly. We don't know if that's true or not. If there is of reports and evidence it's true, just put it in the comments below, please. But I think he puts little into the club, and he's done nothing for Sunderland. He's done absolutely ball. He hasn't influenced the academy. He hasn't put anything into the infrastructure of the club, as far as I'm aware of. He hasn't done anything to justify having 20% stake in the club. Now, the only reason he might have that sort of stake is that he's reportedly connected to Louis-Dreyfus and his family and his associates, so we don't know that. But I guess the ultimate thing is that this ownership situation has got to change. It's got to, for a lot of fans, it's got to change. My own thoughts, I've grown bored of hearing about the ownership, to be honest. I've grown bored with that being the main topic of conversation, when all I am as a football fan, I want to focus on the actual football. And obviously this is not directed in any way at Alex Neil, because he's obviously just come through the door. This is probably not what he needs, but nevertheless it's come out and it's surfaced about the ownership. He and the players need our backing. I do still believe, by the way, that the behind-the-scenes stuff in the background is not an excuse, and nor should it be an excuse for the players not to perform, because I still firmly believe the squad we had in the last 3 games should have had enough to pick up at least 2 victories and a draw or something. But there you go, that's by the by, that's not the topic of this video. You know, a lot of fans just simply feel they've been lied to, and this has got to change them. And I think as well, the league status for Sunderland has to change. So you could say something has to change. Either could be the ownership, or the obvious one, the league status, where we need to get to the championship. So for me, I still believe we can get promoted this season. Doesn't mean we will, by the way. I want to make that very clear. It doesn't mean I think we will, but we can. We absolutely can still get promoted. Top 2 is now, embarrassingly, top 2 is now looking very unlikely. But we can still get a good run together for the playoffs. And Alex Neil's won the playoffs before. He knows how to get out of. He knows how to get out of a league. But you know, I think that when it comes down to the ownership situation, for a lot of people it's untenable now. For a lot of people, their minds are made up. And in particular for next season, for season tickets, sales are going to plummet. And in my opinion, at the minute, anyway, as of right now, I see season ticket sales plummeting. I could be wrong. I could very well be wrong. But one thing I think something that does have to be remembered here is that anyone who could argue, well, they sold, what is it, 24,000 season tickets, something like that, for this season. Why can't that be the case next year? There's 3 particular factors for me that were in Sunderland's advantage last year that aren't going to be the case this year. The first one is that this current season at the time, so at the time it was next season, but it was this current season referring to, it was believed that it was going to be KLD's first season under his stewardship, if you like. The second one is because at the time that the initial sales of season tickets for the 21-22 season were occurring, Sunderland were in a position where they looked like they were going to get automatic promotion. Yet again, another season where we should have got promoted but somehow didn't. And the third, and probably the biggest reason I would say, that contributed heavily to a number of season tickets this year, in level with those 2 things, is the fact that last season, barring 10,000 people in the Lincoln playoff semi-final, a lot of people had been behind closed doors and had got to the point where there was a novelty about returning to the Stadium of Light. There was a novelty about returning to games again. This time, that's not going to be the case. This time, that novelty's gone. It's gone. And any goodwill that's been built up from what's been going on allegedly behind the scenes, and all the excitement about potentially how this year somehow felt different, even though everyone's gone back on that now, that's going to be gone for next year. And the simple fact of the matter is, season ticket sales might have plummeted anyway without all this coming out if we didn't go up from League One, because a lot of people have simply had enough. As for my own stance, it's a very difficult conundrum here, because I can't just give up going to the games. It's more than just going to watch football. It's a social thing. It's a day out. It's something that's treasured among family or friends and all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, I can't blame people who stay away because they feel like that's the only way you're going to get Madrox out. That is the only way that you're going to essentially force change. The last thing I sort of touch upon, I'm sorry guys, I know this video hasn't made much sense. I just tried to ramble and get my own thoughts out on this. But, and truthfully, I didn't really want to talk about this, but I felt like I kind of owed it to you to give at least talk about the situation, even if I haven't articulated anything really well. The last thing I will say is, the thing that I don't want more than ever is these petty and stupid infighting and insulting of fellow fans, where you're either lining the club's pockets with what's happening, if you feel like you can't give up the match day experience, which you can't blame people for, or, and you can't blame people for this either, where you're not a true fan if you don't go. I don't particularly agree with that. I think that a lot of people will have had breaking points. But again, you're entitled to your own opinion. And as I keep saying, I keep reinforcing it, as long as you're respectful, I have no problem with you voicing your opinion. At the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want Sunderland to succeed, as the Mad Mistake would say. We want them to succeed. But people have their breaking points. And at what point does it stop becoming enjoyable? As Charlie Methven said, the P take party stops now, because I know that a couple of people didn't like me language that I've used in other videos, but it's been going for ages, mate, and it doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon. We do need to remember as well that we need to get behind the players at the weekend and for upcoming years. As long as the players give us something to get behind, then yeah, we have to get behind the players. But it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future. So I'll end this video by asking you a question. Anyone who is a season ticket holder right now, as it currently stands right now, are you going to renew next season? I suspect more people will say no than yes. And what do you think about the idea of protesting? What do you think about the idea of trying to actively enforce change? We'll wait and see what happens, but I'll love you and leave you there, guys. Sorry this video's been terrible, but, I just had to get it out there. And I'll see you for Friday night with Thane, or probably for after the game on Saturday. Take care, love you lots. Like, comment and subscribe if you wish to. Trying to get to 3,000, mean a lot. And I'll see you later.